Welcome to WD Sports Lounge. All right, y'all. Decided I was going to switch it up a little bit. For those who've been following the channel for a while, I know you used to having me talk about mostly basketball, the playoffs, and current stories that are going on around the association. But today I decided to take a different route because this is a sports channel. This is the Sports Lounge, and we are going to be opening to speaking about other sports, especially coming football season, the incoming WNBA season. We're going to touch on that too. But one thing we're going to touch definitely on is wrestling. As you all know, as you all may not know, I too am a wrestling fan. Diehard wrestling fan. I would say that I love wrestling more than I love basketball, but I've watched more basketball than I've done wrestling because majority of the time growing up as a child, I used to watch wrestling in towards the end of the golden era, going into the new generation era, going into the attitude era, and a little bit into halfway of the ruthless aggression era. And from that point on, I was pretty much obsolete from watching wrestling. I pretty much just left it alone. I wasn't really the PG era didn't really get to me the way affect me or catch my attention the way the other eras did. So I pretty much took a hiatus of watching wrestling for a while. But as of recently, because the nostalgia of the guys coming back from the other eras where wrestling was more popular, it's bringing back viewers, and especially now it's being streamed on Netflix. It's a little bit more raw, back to the vibe of when wrestling was popular. So it's definitely got my attention back, and I plan on doing more videos about more up to date events, what's going on as far as the reign of John Cena and the return possibly of Roman Reigns maybe in SummerSlam to challenge John Cena for the world title. I'm just throwing things out there, but we'll definitely get more into that as we get closer to SummerSlam. It's not SummerSlam. Well, we just passed WrestleMania. We just did Backlash. So we just saw Backlash, I'm sorry. And so I'm saying we, like I'm part of the WWE. But no, what I was saying was they just had WrestleMania and they just had Backlash. So we're they're pretty much just on their way of getting close to SummerSlam, which is the big one of the big pay-per-views that they usually have, big events they usually have. But going off a little subject here, but I just wanted to go back to the new generation era and talk about one of the great ones, to me, my greatest of all time. There's been a lot of wrestlers that are great that other people consider greatest of all time. And I, for one, love those wrestlers too. At the time they were good. For example, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I loved watching him. The Rock, I love watching him and stuff. But there was only one wrestler that really caught my eye as a kid, and to this day I still love him, and that's Bret the Hitman Hart. He's my greatest of all time wrestler. I mean, he had the whole thing, he wasn't too big, but, he was flashy. He had the glasses. He had the pink and black attack, the cool jacket with the boots, you know what I mean? And the hair slicked back. He was just cool to me, and then the fact that he was a top-notch wrestler, and his matches were just magical. And as a kid, listening to that theme song come in and seeing the black and pink and watching him walk through that through the entranceway, and everybody's screaming, and you hear like dun dun dun, and it's like, it was just magical to me as a kid. And I'm happy to see that there's a lot of people that are doing videos like wrestling bios. Shout out to wrestling bios, wrestling with Andy, wrestling WrestleMania. I'm not sure. I don't want to butcher the name, but there's so many other uh, wrestle alcoholics. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm butchering you guys' names, but shout out to all of y'all that's giving us the wrestling content, bringing the nostalgia back, and also giving me the opportunity to even share my opinion about how wrestling affected me. So yeah, so going back to that, yeah, Bret the Hitman Hart was my favorite wrestler, and I loved his career up until the Montreal school job. As a kid, when that happened, I really didn't understand what really happened. But at the time, I was a WCW watcher. I used to watch WCW a lot, and the fact that he was going over there, I thought the magic that he had in WWE at the time, WWF at the time, but WWE now. I thought he was gonna bring that magic to WCW, but things didn't turn out that way as history shows it. But going back to what I was saying, there was there was a podcast that was out there. I'm not sure who did the podcast, but I saw it on my feed, and it said that the Hitman, Bret the Hitman Hart, said himself that he was promised a 6-year reign as the WWE champion when he won the title from Ric Flair. And to a certain degree, I believe it. To a certain degree, I don't believe it. Here's my opinion on it. First of all, I believe that he would have had a 6. I don't think it would have been a 6-year run, but I think it would have been a lengthy run because at the time championships was changing hands, but a lot of the champions were giving lengthy runs. We were coming off the Bob Backlund era and the golden era where Bob Backlund was a champion for 7 years. I think that was the last time somebody came close to that. And then when you had Hulk Hogan, he was I think he was champion for about 83, 84, 85, 86, 87. I'm sorry for that. That's so bad comment. I think 6 years, or 6 or 7 years. But correct me in the comment section, guys, if I missed the time frame. But after Hogan, then the Ultimate Warrior, Sergeant Slaughter, the Macho Man Randy Savage, then Ric Flair, then the Macho Man Randy Savage got it back again. Then Ric Flair got it back, and from there, the Hitman Bret Hart won the title from Ric Flair. And that was just a short stream because I know a lot of things were going on between the steroid scandal and a lot of big time players were leaving WWE at the time. So I know at that point they were trying to figure out what direction to take the federation at. And when they picked Bret the Hitman Hart, I guess the idea of switching championships keeps the fan base intrigued, and I guess that was part of the formula that helped Monday Night Raw become the mammoth that it became, because you never know what was going to happen. And the same moniker that Monday Nitro WCW took as well, because the shock and awe factor helped out. So I feel like I think they got too accustomed to that, and that's why he didn't get the lengthy run. But I felt like he would have gotten a lengthy run had they went back to that moniker of the World Wrestling Federation champion being the fighting champion, leading the way, defeating all comers until there's like the huge heel that will knock him off the turf, which wound up happening just a little bit earlier than expected. with Yokozuna. Had Yokozuna come in about, like, say, 2 years later and stuff, or maybe 2 or 3 years later, it would be. I feel like the storyline would have been that much better. But don't get me wrong, that storyline was great when the Hitman was on his way to WrestleMania 9 to defend the title against Yokozuna, and I. And for that, I was like, I feel like that part, I believe that he would have got a lengthy run. 6 years might be a little bit exaggerating, but he would have got a lengthy run. Now, why I feel like he don't, I don't think that's the other side of why I don't feel that he would have never had a lengthy run, was because of the politics that was going on backstage. You had Hulk Hogan there, you had Shawn Michaels there, along with the Clique. Even though the Clique was somewhat formed, but there was still background politics to where there was a lot of sabotagery going on for the Hitman at the time. We can go as far back as, it's WrestleMania 9, for example. He loses the title to Yokozuna, only for Yokozuna to get screwed over and have Hulk Hogan win the title on WrestleMania 9, where supposedly there was supposed to be the rematch where Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan. That would have been a great match. I'm not gonna lie to you, that would have been a great match to watch Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan go at it on SummerSlam. That would have been a great SummerSlam to watch. But unfortunately, according to Bret Hart, things didn't go that way. Hulk Hogan felt that Bret Hart was not in his level for him to do the job for him, so he'd rather do the job to Yokozuna. Which, yeah, it is kind of messed up in that sense. So you have that politics there. And then you also have the politics of Shawn Michaels. Let's just say, for example, he would have had the reign for 6 years. That would mean that towards the fall of 1992, all the way till about the fall of 1998. So you mean to tell me that Bret Hart would be the champion from the whole Attitude Era the whole New Generation era going into the Attitude Era, being the World Wrestling Federation champion? I mean, that's a far stretch. And I feel like, the rise of Shawn Michaels wanted to be the man. Shawn Michaels wanted to be what Bret Hart was. And as far as being the man, the leader, the true leader of the New Generation and beyond. And he wanted to prove himself, and there was no way that he would have allowed Bret the Hitman Hart to have a reign without him having a taste of it as well. And as you can see, the results happening of how things actually transpired, a lot of politics was there to where Bret Hart didn't have a lengthy run, but he had multiple runs within that time frame. So between 92 and 98, it wasn't one lengthy run, but he got 5 runs in between that time frame. He captured the title 5 times between 1992 and 1997, before the Montreal Screwjob. I'm sorry, 1997 in SummerSlam, where he actually captured the title. So I'm torn between the two, but I will lean more towards the fact that I don't think that there was ever the intentions of having Bret the Hitman Hart have a long run, but the intentions of having him have multiple runs, and hoping that wishing that the Montreal Screwjob didn't happen the way it did, and he would have had a more lucrative run with the WWE, but that didn't turn out right. But hey, that's my opinion on it. I just feel like, it would have never happened that way for real. I just feel like Bret Hart, sometimes there's certain things that part of his career, he just, it's really passionate to him. And, you can see based on his interviews that that's something that sticks with him. So he's going to always have, the type of thoughts that's going to make you want to, speculate and think about it, And I had to think about that before I made this video, to say, you know what, maybe, I could see both ways as to why he would say that and why he would think that. And then this other way, why it's like, okay, that's not how it went down. I don't think that's how it would ever went down. And based on how it did go down, that gives us the understanding on what it is. So definitely, like I said, we're gonna be doing more of these videos. We'll talk about other wrestlers, about certain what ifs, or definitely keep in touch of what's going on as far as the current storyline. We'll leave that for another video, but just want to let you guys know we do talk about other sports. So hopefully we get a new we get an additional fan base. We get an additional additional part of the community where the wrestling fans get a piece of the pot as well, where it's not just we're just talking basketball, but we're talking sports in general. Like I said, this is a sports show. This is the Sports Lounge, so we're gonna be talking sports, and we're gonna talk about the sports that we like, and if and if there's any suggestion, we'll see what we can do down the line. But in the meantime, let's just enjoy the vibes. So this is the WD Sports Lounge. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And if you have a comment, drop your comment in the comments section. Like, share, subscribe if you like this video. Catch y'all later.